So, I had an idea. I was gonna take this log and I was gonna turn it into a wrist rest. I'm redecorating my gaming room and I'm going for a vintage aesthetic. So I thought that going at this fucking oak log was a good idea. Basically, it's a waste of time. You can do this way easier with other types of wood. And yeah, I had a little bit of struggle here, especially because I didn't have an axe, I only had a hatchet. So yeah, I recommend doing it with some other kind of wood. And this is exactly why it took so long. So long. But after I got it chopped up, I decided to saw for quite a while. Sawing on the long side of a log takes so much time. It's unbelievable. So I didn't record the first part, but yeah, you know, I'm marking a little bit up so I can... Oh yeah, there's pre-cut here, so that's important, right? I kind of forgot like what I was supposed to do here. But yeah, I take the measurement here and I draw a line, I saw it, so I have, you know, the best angle to do this. So yeah, I'm basically cutting out a triangle, you know. Outside again. Here I'm just continuing the little thing I started inside of the workshop, and this took, I'd say, like 20 minutes to cut, so you can guess how long the longer part took. Quite a time-consuming process, but it ended up looking pretty neat. The wood had a nice, nice textures in there, and it's core wood, right? So it's pretty hard. Anyway, this is when I was measuring up the shape that I wanted for the wrist rest. As you can see, I cut the first part there. It's basically perfect. And I cut a bit more, and then I realized, oh fuck, I have to do measurements of all kinds if I want this wrist rest to be, you know, usable. So after making all those measurements, I sawed so hard my phone fell over. And then I put little sticks up there, so I can put the saw inside and saw upwards, which is not very easy. You can see how many breaks I take. It's really tough, especially for a guy who's never done any woodworking before. Yeah, now I have, you know, a smaller triangle, and it looks pretty okay. There were some dents in the wood, but that can be addressed.
Fuck.
Also, bless you, past me. And guess what came next? More measurements. This time my father interrupted me.
Han lykkes. Skal jeg også gå det her sidste af? Ja, den her er skummel. Ja. Skal den ikke være større end det her? Nej. Og hvad så siger du? Den er ikke lige tyk, det kan jeg godt se. Så jeg tager skær. Skal du den af hele vejen ned? Ja. Okay. Ja. Det bliver helt god til det der.
After the encouraging words from my father, I continued my work. And like I said, there is a lot of measurement involved in this one, because I had to make sure I was sawing perfectly on both sides. And it ended up not being, you know, completely perfect, but nothing that couldn't be addressed by some sanding. Don't mind me almost cutting my hand off. But yeah, I'm cutting the last part of the top of the wrist rest off. And as you can see, we have a much better shape now. If I want to show that, it is. Oh yeah, I got annoyed about the dents. But they're on the underside of the wrist rest, so it's nothing too serious. Yeah, wood looks nice. There's the shape. Lovely. Next to just refining the shape. For this I used a trusty old pocket knife I bought. VG10 steel if you're interested. But yeah, it cuts pretty fucking good. And yeah, this was just to get rid of, you know, the biggest parts that was sticking out. You know, I didn't mind, you know, the natural look, so it didn't nothing too much. Next was sanding. This is a bit of a time-consuming process because oak is extremely tough, and well, I used 40 grit sandpaper, so you know it wasn't too fine or anything. But still, it's a very time-consuming process, and again, I'd highly recommend some other type of wood if you're gonna make something simple like a wrist rest that doesn't need to, you know, support massive amounts of weight or anything. It is pretty fucking smooth now. We do have some, I don't know, imperfections from when I was sawing it. You know, this is my first woodworking project, so I'm not great at it. And if you do things by hand, there's bound to be a little bit of imperfection. And here I am foreshadowing that I'm gonna have to redo the sanding there, unfortunately. Yeah, I just need the bottom. This is the hard part. Getting this to actually, you know... Oh, fucking hell. That's gonna be a rough one. I might not record that. I don't think I have enough space on my phone for that. Oh well. Never mind, I had a brilliant idea on how to get this done a little bit faster and more efficiently, so I don't have to run over to a table and check whether it's good or not. I'm going to use this, right? It is flat as can be, right? You can see, or here rather, I can see it as well. It bounces a little bit, right? I'm going to get rid of that by taking some of this. Actually, I'm just going to pause the video, just set it up for you guys. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I wanted a little bit more space to work with, but this will have to do, yeah. So now I can just slide this thing across, and I don't know, it should help. Oh, past me. How optimistic and naive you were. We'll see. Alright, spoiler alert, it did not work. I did simply not have enough space, like between here, so I couldn't, like, you know, run the wrist rest across it, where I got like the whole thing at the same time, which means that it ended up being a balancing act anyways. And by going this way, I ended up ripping the paper, as you can see here, and yeah, it's basically a mess. So I ended up having to, well, there's all this sandpaper. I ended up having to do it by hand, completely by hand. And I mean, I did use this to, so yeah, basically I sanded a bit, and then I put it on here to check if it was still imbalanced. And once it seemed okay here, I took it into a table inside, and I think this entire process took like 2 hours. It was pretty bad. I'd recommend finding, a longer flat surface where you can do this trick and like actually execute it. Next up was oiling the wood. This is a pretty fun process, not very time consuming, but it just makes such a big difference. I mean, the way it just goes from, this light, kind of lifeless wood into a little bit darker wood, just like it enhances the quality of the wood so much. It's very lovely to see. It looks like this right now. The light in here, like on my phone, it looks pretty whack. It's a bit more brown rather than yellow. But yeah, it's a nice lighter brown. Yeah, it's basically perfect. No, it was not perfect. Alright, so basically there were some very visible signs of the sawing that I've done prior to sanding. I basically hadn't done the sanding well enough, and yeah, so I ended up having to sand it again, and as you can see, once I sanded it again, the surface was much more smooth. No signs of, like obvious imperfections. And yeah, then I oiled it again, and we have a much smoother look, as to be expected. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed following me on this journey, and this may not be the last woodworking project, but I can't promise more. But thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.